Hashtag this. Oh, that's my new.
We are live, coming to you from the dirty South, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm so glad y'all can come out. Tough day for your boy today, not doing well. So Amari, Yannick, we got all the Philly in here. Battery, no, I didn't change them, not yet. I'm thinking about doing it. But I like the uniform countdown that I have there. So if anybody's wondering why those cards are in that order, it's their uniform number countdown from 10. So a little trivia there for Scott. How are the guys doing tonight? Friends here.
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm all right. You know, crazy stuff going on in the world. Having a little, causes civil wars, family against family type of thing. Rough day for me. So, just the way it is. What's going on, Ty? Don't blame you, man. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good. Long live the dirty South.
Yeah. I actually been going through cards. A guy at work, his son is he watches Hurricanes, Carolina Hurricanes every night or every game. So I'm pulling out some Hurricanes cards to take to work tomorrow. He is just started collecting, and he is on the spectrum, so he's really into it. And but he I think he just got a job, his first job, so that's not with the family. So he's doing well. So getting the young man some cards and see if he likes them. So I was looking today on what cards might be coming out, and
then you realize nothing.
Heritage High Number in
10 days.
10 days. I saw Star Wars this week, Black, which was actually at a good price, and then a few football products and maybe one basketball product. A couple optic that on secondary market. Holy shit. I don't know. I don't understand the football market. I'm here to tell you I just don't understand it. The only thing that sells are quarterbacks, and it's last year's product, so it's no really speculating on rookies. We know who they are. My God, it's like $350 on the secondary market for optic, Donruss optic. That just seems a little high to me. It's not one of a premier product, so.
I mean, yeah, all football wax is ridiculous.
Yeah, I just.
And it's all for the maybe hitting the really
Jaden
low
Daniels.
numbered autograph. But like even the base cards, people give them away for like
Right.
Chrome and Finest. Like it's literally probably take you 5-6 boxes to pull a base rookie for a product that costs $300-$400, and you'll see guys listing them for like $5. And like the reality is they should be $20. I don't give a shit if it's a base card or not. It's hard to get. It's not a super high number product, but a lot of people are not smart. So,
and my thing with like these higher end, I mean, people that are buying these, I know there is some addiction going on to this. I talked to somebody this past week who will remain nameless, but we've all probably bought stuff when we shouldn't at a price we shouldn't have. But man, this is just getting, I mean, we've been talking about this now for 5 years. We thought the prices would come down. They have come down a little bit. Yeah, Eric, I'm specifically talking about stuff you talk about. And I just don't see an end to it. I know the addiction is real, but this is just for football and basketball, especially, this is just going a little crazy. Baseball problem with baseball is not so much the pricing, it's just what you're getting out of the boxes now.
Like, is basketball, like, I know the secondary market for it's not even the secondary market, it's the prices coming out of Panini are ridiculous, but I see like the Prism all over the place is sitting on the shelves. Like, I don't even know who the top rookie is. Obviously, I don't really pay that much attention to basketball.
I've been seeing all kinds of basketball just sitting on the shelves, blasters. I don't know if the hobby card, I don't buy basketball, so I don't know if the hobby is doing well. Please, somebody in the chat, chime in if you know anything about the basketball hobby stuff. I just know when you go into stores, there's a good bet you're going to see a few shelves of basketball. Chronicles, Prism. It's funny, WNBA stuff's gone. Hockey is gone, but,
it's because
I'm sure there's a
WNBA is flying off the shelf because of all the influencers like Wesker Griff talking it up all day.
Yeah, Mari, I understand that, but it just doesn't matter. Like in football, this year's class in football is not all that great. But, I mean, the stuff's still pricey. I could buy a football hobby box.
I'm sure there's a correlation with the NBA ratings tanking, which is why you're seeing less enthusiasm for basketball.
Well, I also think basketball in general, I just don't think anyone collects basketball. Like, I know some people do, but even the people who are really into basketball, like, it's just not like baseball. And I know I'm not a basketball guy, but so I only see a small piece of it. But it seems to me like people who are into basketball cards are the investors or the flippers, and even those who collect. They collect LeBron, they collect Michael Jordan, they collect these handful of guys. There's not a whole lot of, hey, I'm a 76ers collector and I'm going to buy a lot of 76ers stuff and building sets, or I'm whoever. Like, I don't see much of it. And I don't know. It just seems to me like basketball is that individual. It's the way we talk about football, just about 100 times worse, where it's all focused on like literally 5 different guys. And I truly believe that's what the WNBA basically is as well, or what it will be. Like, I don't personally foresee WNBA being remotely popular card wise in a few years outside of the one player that people want. And I'm not saying there won't be a few other stars and stuff. And obviously we have some people in this chat who like the WNBA and like a few players and collect some, but like, is there not going to be enough people that people are going to continue to buy expensive products?
I just started my portfolio today of WNBA. So, I've seen, my only thing with that, Mike, is with that one is you can see a pipeline starting in the college with very good women's basketball.
I mean, there's a chance if you expand and have young people in it, but
right.
I don't know. I think the tradition of baseball cards and the tradition of like, oh, my father collected, or maybe my father's father, and like it's kind of getting handed down. There's a lot more traditional card collectors, at least in baseball, where there are team collectors. There are people who build sets, who collect sets or do binders. Like, I just don't see that much in basketball. I'm not saying there's not any, but it seems a lot less common, where it's like, I'm going to fill up a binder with whoever, all these different players and stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying like the young people. And again, it's not everyone, but there's a lot of young people in the hobby that do love those freaking briefcases that Ed likes to talk about. And everything's got to be encapsulated in plastic and this and that.
Well,
hey, the old guys are like that too. It's not just the young bucks.
Right. Hey,
but it's baseball, a way higher percentage of young people, no doubt.
Yeah.
And there's more older guys who have a couple in their pocket than the giant briefcase. Not to say there's not any, but
I think baseball too has the luxury of being in the summer. Yes, there's a lot to do in the summertime, like go out at, a beach or picnic or not. But I think the majority of the time people are in the house at night. Baseball game is on every night now. Baseball's on. We're during the year, school year, when basketball, football, and these other sports are on. You got brand new television, the holidays, you have movies, you have all this other stuff that also is going on, and all the sports overlapping each other. Me and my dad had a great discussion today offline. We should have recorded it. It was just him talking about growing up and how because talking about his age group and my age group and the new age group of collecting. And my dad doesn't collect, but my dad knows 79 loved baseball, and he was naming off, like, because I was sitting there going, people love the history of the sport, but they only know like the names and not so much the history. And my dad started naming off like the whole lineup of the Cardinals from like 1954 or whatever. I was kind of like but it was, but that's how him and his friends were then.
Your dad's like a true baseball guy, though. There's a lot of people who say they like baseball, but they're full of shit, and that's the reality. You can see it in the card community too. Like, I'm not like, and people like know it. You have people who love baseball, and you have people who liked baseball a long time ago, and they're obsessed with just a handful of people, but like they don't watch current stuff, or they haven't watched in a long time. And it's just that weird. That's why we're still in that cycle, even in the hobby, where it's like the darlings from the 50s and everyone else sucks balls. Like the old guys, there's a handful of people that people talk about, the pre-war guys, but the majority of the pre-war players are just unknown by most people. And then like the current day is disrespected by some people, but there's obviously plenty of people, plenty of young people, plenty of older people who actually watch the games and follow all these players and stuff too.
Right.
But it's just, some of it's just the value aspect of the hobby too. So you got to separate that too. It's the hobby part of it.
So here's now, because, if y'all won't coming on, I was going to, it seems like now there's another group getting picked on, the TCGers or whatever, non-sport. I have another channel. I showed this week a bunch of non-sport stuff, right, that I got back. My buddy got some beautiful
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z cards that were just, I know nothing about. But if you love beautiful, the etching, Eric, was incredible, almost 3D-ish. I don't think the camera really done well, but beautiful cards. And I talked about, our group was having a group chat, and those people have passion for those cards. Like, it's unmatchable. We have passion too, but everybody has passion for what they love, and they need a space as well. And I don't know why people want to take away that from the love of what they hobby.
I don't understand that. I love that TCG was at the Philly show. The more the merrier, baby. The more the merrier.
That back room was having a good time. People were dressing up like they really enjoy it. I like watching it. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry to just
talk about Flipper City, by the way.
The thing that annoys me is when I hear people that don't know about Pokemon talk about Pokemon, and they say it's new. Pokemon's been around for almost 30 years now, maybe a little over 30 years.
Well, that's part of it, because
it's been around for quite a while.
That age group that grew up with it, they're the ones now that have the spend, more
money.
That's empty nesters.
That's my age group. Like, I was the first generation of people that was exposed to Pokemon.
I wish I kept some of those sealed first edition packs I had back in the day that I sold at the flea market for $7 a pop.
That's well said. But what is there to terrify? Like, if you have people that collect TCG that come to a show that shares TCG with cards. Who cares? Modern, whatever cards. The people are getting exposed to it, right? I mean,
and I think a lot of people forget, probably because they were out of the hobby by this time, because the junk wax era that people
Burned them.
so talk about with their PTSD
right,
took them out. But Pokemon was huge in 96 and 97.
right.
Like, it dominated the hobby around that
And those
time.
people
I remember
don't give a shit about print counts. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit.
I remember going to all my local card shops, and that was saving the card shops Pokemon. All us
Right.
school kids going there buying all the Pokemon packs
Well,
and Pokemon singles.
I can tell you right now, as a game collector, those TCG cards are saving game stores now. It's doing for game stores what it did for card shops then. So they're turning back rooms into tables where they can have tournaments and selling the cards. And you go into GameStop now, most of them have a wall full of Pokemon. They have Pokemon trade night at GameStops.
Amari's on point in the comments. He said you actually played with them. That whole first generation, my generation of people that was exposed to Pokemon, we all played with the cards. We didn't like put them in top loaders and penny sleeves. No, we took them to school.
Listen to Ed. Ed sounds like some old fart, man, talking about putting all the fucking cards in his bicycle spokes.
Play the game.
Back in my day, we used to play with the cards. You young sons of bitches put them all in slabs.
You're supposed to destroy those cards.
But it is the truth, though. But you watch videos and you hear people commenting on things, and they're all acting like Pokemon just started like a year ago. And it's unequivocally not true. Like, oh, where'd all these TCG people come from? Where all these Pokemon kids come from? Well, it's the parents getting the kids into it who are about 30 to 40 years old, who were around when Pokemon first came out. Yes, Pokemon is older, is about 30 years old. It's been around. It's not new.
And they still have tournaments, Amari. It's not like the collecting of it is still big. And I know like the Yu-Gi-Oh world and Magic is more players. And here I am.
How long's Magic been around? That's a couple years older than Pokemon, probably, right?
I think it is. More adultish. I have some Magic because they had Assassin's Creed decks. So I bought some of that because I love Assassin's Creed game so much. Eric said 1993. Somebody saying 1991 for somebody. But I did want to touch on that tonight. I didn't know how far in the weeds I would go, and it was brought up, and again, I think it's created turmoil, some created. Because it came kind of out of nowhere, and I know like I've seen a lot in my area. There's a couple of shows that is damn near 50-50. But like Ed said, more the merrier. And when I see TCG, I know I have a chance of seeing non-sport, and I love collecting non-sport. I mean, I had a great time looking at vintage pre-war stuff, non-sport in Philly. I have, and then, around here, I'm not going to see too much of that, but I know I'm going to get to see Disney cards and, Assassin's Creed or, something, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, just different things. And it's cool to see or have a chance of seeing. Just something different. And it's always good to broaden your horizons a little bit. It wouldn't hurt you to learn a little bit about something outside of your norm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally give a shit about TCG cards at all. I don't.
Right.
I don't care about them. I don't understand the game. I don't understand or care about the characters, but I'll buy a few loose packs on occasion for my nephew, and it's fun to see him open them and get super excited. and like he'll open them with his mom, and like he'll be like, "Oh, look at this one," the same way I would if I opened a pack of baseball or football and got a really
Right.
cool parallel of someone. And I definitely don't mind it being in the shows and stuff. But of course, people are just generally going to be threatened of stuff. We see it with different people. Like, you know,
This is true, Eric.
there's definitely people who are into modern who don't like vintage because, quite frankly, they don't understand it because maybe they're young and they just literally don't know the players. They don't know what sets are what. Forget pre-war. They're afraid. They're afraid of it. They don't know how to tell if things are real or counterfeit or what could be. And then we have the vintage people who are afraid of the modern because they don't understand the 87,000 different parallels, or they're afraid that their Mantles and Koufax and all these guys are going to be forgotten and overtaken by the Otanis and Trouts. Like there is that fear there for sure. I mean, pre-war is most of those guys, which I mentioned before, are for the most part forgotten. And you have less connections because your grandfather most likely did not watch Christy Mathewson pitch or any of these guys. But there's that rarity. So there's a smaller group. There's absolutely a smaller group of people who are truly interested in pre-war. I mean, anyone's going to be interested in a Honus Wagner if they know it's worth $1 million. But how many people are truly interested in the sets and the players? It's going to be less than are interested in vintage and modern. But there's obviously far fewer of these cards available. And that's what you're going to see in all this stuff. Like,
I mean, Ed's always looking for Cap Anson. I mean,
after he left the show the
throw
other
him
day,
out
I
of the
found a
hall.
Cap Anson. It was a more modern day Cap Anson. It wasn't modern, but it was vintage. I thought about buying it for him, but I figured it'd be a waste of money for him to light on fire.
Yeah, no Adolf Anson cards, please.
But the TCG world, like, there's definitely some TCG people who probably think sports cards are stupid, and there's people who are sports card people who think TCGs are stupid. But for the most part, there is crossover. There's people who are going to respect either side, and there's people who are going to do both as well. So,
yeah, it's just, you know, again, I just love the passion that anyone has in whatever they're collecting. I don't care if it's paper clips or ball cards or, you know, as long as you have a passion, it's not hurting anybody else. You know, you're not putting your family in harm's way about spending lots of money. You know, I love the passion, and those guys, they have just as much passion as anybody else when you go to these shows. Here's my other question. I think we knocked that in the bud. We solved that problem. On to the next one. So at Strongsville, it's a vintage, historically vintage show, right?
formerly an exclusive vintage show, now a show that is probably primarily vintage, but I've been told by people that it's not even as good as the Philly show. But I don't
Philly
whether
show is
that's accurate or
awesome.
not. I'm not sure.
But my question is, so does that mean there is pre-war? Like, because if they're so hardcore, it's got to be vintage.
Well, yeah,
Does that include pre-war? Does that
they're lumping that in.
I'm going to
for them, the old school would probably be like 60s.
See, that's my question. So, like, I almost invited one of the. Let me make sure I say it right. Four collectors on tonight just to explain to me their trade night. Because are they going to be that hardcore? What is the limitations to the top side, to the bottom side? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to make this niche. You're going to have this vintage night. Are you setting the parameter at 89 or is it 79? Is it 74? You know, that was kind of my, not trying to stir the pot.
It all depends. To my nephew, who's
they sell modern cards,
not even 9, he's going to think a Chase Utley card is vintage because Chase Utley last played with the Phillies before he was born. So, I mean,
hey, Paul, don't get me started. I saw that they need to pay me some royalty fees for that one. I've been staying quiet on a lot of things. But the road to Strongsville is awfully close to road to the National. Okay, go ahead.
If Strongsville were closer, I would definitely go to the show. But
that might be a next year thing. I went to Philly, so
if I knew a few buddies were going,
friend,
if Ed and Ray wanted to go, which is unlikely, maybe one or the other. But
I just see no reason to go there because the Philly show is just far superior.
Well,
it sounds like it's all
I don't know if you can conclusively say that without ever going, but
that is true.
I think that the I've been told by a few people that they're just like the Strongsville show isn't what it used to be, because it used to be more like this is guys one show a year, and now it's going to be primarily, for the most part, the same people were at the Philly show.
Yeah,
so,
Andrew's told me that.
I've had a few others tell me that too. So like to me, it would take too much for me to find a way to get a trip there. There's another show in Pennsylvania I've heard that is a little more. You might get some people who just come out of the closet and do their one sale a year, so that would be tempting. It's in 2 weeks, but
honestly, the only other show that would entice me to go to outside of the Philly show, I mean, obviously go to the Philly show because that's in our mine and yours backyard, Mike, and obviously the National. But I feel like the only other show that would entice me to go anywhere would probably be the Expo.
I don't really want to travel all there just to see a bunch of hockey cards, but that's just me. I've heard the Shriner show is really good, and there's some different dealers. I would like to do that.
I would like to go,
but I think that might only be a couple times a year.
I would like to go to the Burbank show, just for the reasoning of different dealers.
I would do the Dallas show, but that would be because I know we would also couple that. I wouldn't go there just to go to the show. I would do that to also go to a Texas Rangers game to hang out with Dave.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say a Texas ranch.
Maybe BBC would invite us to the ranch. We'll see.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I as somebody first time going to the Philly show this year, I would definitely. That would be if somebody goes, "Hey, you want to go to the Philly show?" I'm going to be, yes, I'm on board. Just the next time, I'd probably fly and have one of my good friends that's on the screen pick me up, maybe. But other than that, it wasn't a bad drive. It was it's
still lengthy when you're only going for a few days.
I can tell you what really messed me up was the time change, because I work almost every day, so I'm used to getting up every day at 5:30, and then when it would just feels even today getting up at 5:30, it felt weird. I felt like I should be still sleeping. So this time change has been tough on me. I do the Philly show if they did it in Orlando. Oh, Carlo, I like to get down there to see Jeff's castle or whatever we calling it. Yeah, I mean, I just want to go to Strongsville because everybody talks about it, and just stack it up to Chantilly, because Chantilly has a very good vintage. When I go there, last year was a little bit of a letdown.
The CSA show, Scott.
The CSA, the one that needs to. Yeah.
I mean, Chantilly's on my list of one I would at some point go to. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to going to it, but I do think it's very. I would expect it to basically be just like the Philly show. Obviously, you're going to get a handful of different dealers and such.
It was almost the Philly show felt like a little bit bigger. It was so well run, but it's
the fudge probably puts it over the top. I'm sure
the fudge does put it over the top, and also I talk about Philly show. I didn't have to wait in line to take a piss. I didn't have to wait in line to buy a bottle of water. That's all. Cards HQ isn't that remarkable, does it? But there's a liquor store next to it that has a fantastic selection of beer and wine. Yannick, there are enough baseball cards at the expo for your list. Oh, there you go. Peachy and everything in between. at the X. Yeah, I've heard there's quite a few because you got Toronto there, so there's quite a few baseball up there. And who knows? You might have the Montreal Rays coming up there before we know it. So, yeah, those are some of the topics. Like the baseball card thing, just not being released, and Ed sharing a video with us about somebody being bored in the hobby. I don't have to buy new product and stuff. I've been this whole weekend reorganizing and going through some of my backlog of cards for grading and just getting things, just going through stuff. And I enjoy that. I really do. So I don't really need the new stuff all the time. But man, it would be nice to get. Here it is. We usually have Big League or Eric's favorite opening day back in the day this week, or Heritage would be out.
Yeah, I just feel like
I don't know what's going on.
I feel like being 10 days, really probably only a handful of days, because we got the Cubs and Dodgers in a few days playing overseas at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But the rest of baseball opens up in about 10 days. And
yeah,
since Flagship came out, about a month ago, I would say if there were only a handful of releases, I wouldn't be too anxious that Flagship would be fine. But considering they still cram 20, 30, however, 40 releases, I don't know what it still is. Obviously, it's been reduced a little bit during the course of the year. It'd be nice to have another one out now instead of having 25 different products released once a regular season concludes. That's the annoying part.
Right. So Heritage High Number is fun. It's a fun product to rip. But when it comes a week into the opening of the next season, does anybody care?
Probably not, other than the fact that Paul Skeens will have some kind of rookies in there.
Right, the Paul Skeen rookie.
And like someone like me, I'm crossing my fingers to get some bullshit cards that no one else in the world wants. Would I be ecstatic if I look at the checklist and see a David Dahl Phillies card on there? I would. Would anyone else? Maybe Ed, maybe Ed's brother, but that'd be about it.
Right. I just...
Is he really on the checklist?
No, they didn't release the checklist, but we can all hope.
Thanks, Tops.
Colby Allard, how did Colby Allard never get a Phillies card? And David Dahl should have had a Tops Now card. So because the bastards that do Tops Now are anti-Phillies, which is clear because a lot of times they've skipped out on cards that should have been made, we would have had one. And only 347 people would have bought one. But guess what? I would have been one of them.
So when did they stop? So when it's Tops stop, they're still doing hockey, because I got me some Ovechkin stickers because they can do stickers for hockey. I got another wrestling card coming in, but it just feels like a lot of their standard stuff. I'm waiting for their living set to go away. It's their website really sucks now. If anybody, it looks like they're trying to push people to the Fanatics website. I don't know. I really, I told I said it before when they bought them. You wanted it to go big time, and that's where we're at now. It's mainstream, commercialized, high dollar. If we keep having turmoil in our financial situations in this world, who knows what this hobby's going to be at in 6 months. So, it's the only thing that's keeping me sane right now. I don't know how anybody else feels about that. Y'all could jump in anytime, because I'm just going down this rabbit hole. But, I just feel more and more corporate greed, and just, you're seeing it now in every parts of it. If it's buying, I noticed at the show that protective stuff was really, really overpriced. So
your boy Lynn was selling it.
Yeah.
So you can buy it and get a attitude or a dirty look or be blatantly ignored. Did I say all that?
Yeah, and then the
No
national,
disagreement, I noticed.
No, I go to the female at the national, and she's not as bad, but she's got to be kin to him because sometimes she can be that way too. But the nationals adding another floor of people, which some people may like. I just think there's got to be a time when things are gone too 10x, bro. When it's too much, too big, too you can't get a room within 10 miles of the national. Ed's brought it up where sooner or later, I know the crowd I saw at the last Chicago show when I pulled up for lunchtime to pick y'all up. I think it was a Saturday, in the mob that was crossing the street. It was a mob in the middle of the day. When, is this the year the fire department shuts it down because it's too many people? Or?
I think that's inevitable. That's going to happen within the 3 years. If it just conservatively, I say this ad nauseum, if it conservatively continues its level of growth, that's going to be inevitable at the Rosemont Convention Center. Because what are you going to do when 160,000 people show up? What are you going to do?
Kick out the Pokemon people, then we'll be fine.
Fuck them.
Kick out the young punks with
that
the
air
Pelican
conditioner.
cases,
I guarantee
we'll be fine.
That air conditioner is going to break on either Wednesday or Thursday. Put it in the book.
I hope they stored all the air conditioning units and fans they brought in on Saturday for this year. Because, yeah, Mario, I got you.
What the fuck?
Because this year there's no plan. You can't find a place to live or to stay across the street. They don't have parking passes. They, you're getting in an hour early, which is nice. But if everybody gets a VIP and gets in an hour early, it doesn't mean that much then. I get it more for my fat ass as a place to go sit down. Well, I don't have much of an ass. My fat body can go sit down. It's just, this is what you're going to do when Eddie runs right on you. Yeah. I find this year is going to be a litmus test. It's going to be I think the height is going to be this year, because I think some people are going to be frustrated at this year's show. Garrett says, my anxiety was so last year in Cleveland. I left daily at 11. I was talking to Canadian Mike yesterday about canceling a trip this year for that reason. If you don't like being around a lot of people, that's not the place for you. If you don't have patience and trying to see cards. Now, the Philly show was packed, but there was areas that were loose. You could walk around by the afternoon. If you have an anxiety, Garrett, you're better off going after lunch, and the place is loosened up after lunch. Because I don't know if I want to go Friday and Saturday during the middle of the craziness. That might be, I don't know. So,
what day is your WNBA game?
Friday.
6:30.
And Lollapalooza is the same
it's
week.
It's always that weekend there, Lollapalooza.
It wasn't 2 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was the weekend before or after.
They didn't announce the lineup yet, but I've been checking to see who they announced.
Yeah,
because you don't even have to. You don't even have to go to the festival if there's a couple bands on there that you want to see, because normally they'll do pop-up shows at different venues across Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So you can just check to see if there's a particular band you want to see. Maybe they might do a pop-up show.
Yeah, I know Friday the game is early enough where we can go to the game and still, if y'all do y'all's Friday night thing.
And the Phillies are playing the White Sox.
Oh,
and
shit.
I believe the Orioles are playing the Cubs. So there's a lot to do outside of cards.
Shit.
Like it might not just be, I'm thinking to myself, like, am I really going to be going every day to the National? I might want to be doing other things.
Sunday is Clark versus Sky in the
We just missed that. You don't know how much
It's
that
$100.
scared me.
Yeah,
That's cheap though. Trust me. I
I
was
was
trying
like
to
$100. That ain't shit.
100's cheap, Scott. Trust me, because I was looking at going to the Baltimore game when they play the Mystics, and the cheapest ticket's like $400 for the rafters. So 100, that's 4x.
Yeah,
And plus, it's in a nicer. It's It's where the Bulls play, so it's in a nicer
yeah.
place.
It's the main place there. So you know, lots to do. You know, if you're a sports fan, and I'm sure they'll have, I think that professional softball league will be playing over there in that stadium. It's not too far away, and it's a good area. You got the casino down the street. Eric wants to know if Morrissey will be there.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's touring Europe this summer. So
Shit.
Yeah,
Now I
Morrissey-
feel like I got to get to the National on Tuesday to go to freaking
I'm hoping Beach House will be there.
Dodge Bullets in South Chicago to see the Phils and White Sox. That Wednesday game,
there?
2:00. Well, they play Wednesday at 2:00, but kind of want to go into the show early before Eric gets all the good cards.
Well, that'll be Tuesday. Day negative
Oh,
one.
day zero, bitches. Day zero. And Monday's day -1.
Yeah.
Monday's day -1. Tuesday's day fucking 0.
I've been to a few White Sox games, so like I don't feel like I ever have to go there again. But if it were the Phillies, then it would be interesting, especially because the White Sox are so bad. Like tickets would probably be cheap. Would they win like 45 games last
I would like
year?
to go see the Orioles play. It's like the only way I can see them play is in person because I can't watch them on my TV here.
Well, we can go to an Orioles game one of these days. It's just a 6-hour drive for you.
That last game we went to in Chicago was a lot of fun. It was me, Mike, and your boy Jeremy, Big Smooth, baby. So much
Big
fun.
Smooth, yeah.
But it was
Cubs
hot
game?
as it was hot as balls though, and it was like a sticky hot.
Well,
But then
I mean,
we talked about the history. I'm like, Jeremy, Mike, can you imagine like in 1920 sitting here in a wool suit in 100-degree weather? These fuckers are crazy.
I'm down for that, Daniel. Is what I'm saying. So, that it's just always so much to do in Chicago, but then you add all the sports on top of it this year.
The problem is all the commuting we have to do since you got to freaking get a room 35 miles away.
Yeah. Well, we're less. What is it? 8 miles is our.
Yeah,
That's what I told baseball.
We're not too bad, but like my whole thing is Chicago's cool. You can go get yourself a deep dish pizza, go to those places. You do have all the places right around, like you can go out for lunch
big
and
chicken.
walk around. You got the goddamn chicken place that Ed's obsessed with. But like to me, Chicago has lost some of its luster for various reasons. One, it's there every other year, so it's still cool. But like now, it's I want to go up to the room and freaking
the reason to have
put
it
this
there,
shit. I want to walk 5 minutes and put my stuff down, or I want to go to the room and have my own private toilet or whatever. Like that has gone away. And then when it's there 3 years in a row and it's the same bullshit 3 years in a row, to me, I could take 10 years off from Chicago after that. I know people are obsessed with Chicago, but to me, it's already lost its luster a little bit being there so much, making it so difficult to get rooms and such. So we'll see where future places are.
When you let all the vendors have first shot, you're screwed. I mean, I saw the paper they handed out at Cleveland for the vendors to go ahead and get their rooms. So, once I saw that, I was like, well, we better get our shit now.
Thank God we did.
Hopefully we can get the same one for the next few years.
But a lot of people are going to have to factor in transportation costs because I know everyone was dunking on Cleveland, and I said, listen, you're all going to be in a rude awakening for Chicago next year because when you have to pay the lifts, when you have to pay the Ubers, the taxis, that stuff adds up quickly, especially if you're going every single day and making round trips.
Well, a lot of Chicago, even the ones that are a little bit further away hotels, they'll have in the past they've done shuttles, but I don't know, how many are still doing that. And a lot of time, further away, they only come twice a day at the beginning and at the end. So you're exactly right. No shuttles.
How long until?
Okay.
How long until people start begging to go back to Cleveland? Because like you guys know, I was
back to AC, baby.
I was
Dodge.
I like Cleveland.
I was so infuriated after the National last year, where I go on YouTube and I just see everyone blasting Cleveland. Cleveland is amazing, and you're all going to recognize Cleveland's greatness when you go to Chicago these next 3 years and you sweat your balls off.
Can you
and
say
you have to pay
Cleveland
hundreds of dollars in Ubers and Lyfts.
I just I wish I knew what other places they could use, and the big problem is being able to get the venue, and there being places right around and all that stuff.
Well, I think they're just trying to get it at such a cheap cost, and I don't, where they can make so much money.
I mean, at least like a Las Vegas, rooms wouldn't be an issue. And
Washington D.C.
and
would
typically
be good
there's so many flights. Yeah, but
the only problem with
is
Vegas,
there a ton of hotels right by the casino, and can they actually get the place booked? Like, that's one of the problems. I know Baltimore, like, I think one of the problems there is the center's too small, isn't it?
the one place, but there's several different places.
Yeah, but are there like that's the problem with Oaks? Like Oaks is.
Well,
can you imagine if they did something there? Like, there's not enough hotels right around there. Philadelphia Convention Center, of course.
The Convention Center in Baltimore,
but they couldn't do it cheap enough.
If okay, time out. Let's go back. I wish I had the it queued up. When Mike interviewed the last guy that was running the National, their main reason why they didn't want to go to any other buildings like Baltimore, because they didn't want to use multiple floors. And I thought that was the biggest bullshit reason ever. And guess what they're doing this year? They're using multiple floors. So, they didn't. And I mean, what's the problem by going up an escalator?
They have to use multiple floors now, though, because just of the amount of people that are going to be there, and to accommodate their growing need for more dealer space.
I think they ought to do it in Dallas in Jerry's house.
Washington, D.C. would be really good. The convention center there is it's state of the art, and it's like relatively new. I've been there multiple times. It's a very nice convention center.
Can you walk to it? You got to run back?
There's hotels around that area, but the good thing is there's hotels further away, and you just take the subway system in D.C., which is it's really easy to use, and it's a good subway system.
It's much nicer looking than Philadelphia's subway system.
Yeah, I just, I mean, we're ways away from this year's National, but, it's always nice to think about all these shows. You see these other shows, like me and Ed, last week we're trying to talk about the size of this one, the Philly show, and it's like, as big as it was, it's still only quarter the size of the National. And it's just, it's when I tell my dad that when I go to Chantilly, I'm like, yeah, this at the best is quarter the size of the National. And it's just hard for people to even put that in perspective of how big it is. And what I don't like about Chicago is just it's like a pinwheel. I don't like how the rooms are. And hopefully they have a better layout. They learn
Plus that parking garage when everything's closed on it. And then people get aggravated and scream curse words at the top.
Well, hopefully we're back this year, Chicago. That had a lot to do with it. So.
Chicago's awesome, though. I love Chicago. It's great to go to. The problem is that if these trends continue, which I have no reason to believe that they're not going to continue, that facility doesn't no longer meet the needs of the National. It's outgrown it. Clearly, it's outgrown it. but we'll see this summer how
And-
crazy it's going
And
to
I'm
get.
sorry, as much as everybody likes the walking distance to the hotels, everything else is not walking. If you want to go eat at a normal restaurant or a burger, you have to get a ride somewhere. At Chicago, it's still that way because the only food places are over there are a lot of tourist trap food places. So, we can get fancy desserts and stuff, but it's still like we talked about Cleveland. We can go and get something to food. We can go get food somewhere, and it was nice because we didn't all have to go in the same 6 dining areas. I didn't feel that way, Eric, when we went to Cleveland. I mean, we ate. The bad part is we ate late 2 nights in a row when we had to eat at Raising Cane's. So, I'm not a big Raising Cane's fan, but it served its need. And I took my lunch every day. Oh, that's Trap Forest traveling somewhere else, yeah.
At least we were able to go to the supermarket in
and I'll do the same
in
thing
Cleveland and load up the refrigerator and eat some stuff before
spend
and
my
after.
food money on cards to eat when I get out. There you go, Mangini. Oh, and I want to say, I was going to say it yesterday. Mangini had on Flippin' Steve. Flippin' Steve, thank you very much. If gets back to him about bringing my name up as somebody he watched when he was first getting into things. It's a fellow Carter collector. We talked before at a show, and I'm just a small fella in a small little world and my little parts. I appreciate that. Any words, good, bad, indifferent, but that was nice. And that was a good interview with Mangini and Flippin' Steve last week sometime. I don't know. My day's all confused.
Y'all going to have to invite Flippin' Steve in Chicago to a feast at Big Chicken.
Yeah. Well, and it was funny because his contest winner in last time in Chicago that came there, I don't know if he won.
He was a big Scott 35 fan.
Yeah, he come up and recognized me. I was like, hey, and he pointed at Mike and said, hey, you're sometimes on the show. And I thought I got a big kick out of that. And that was one of the funniest things. So, and Mike's one of the guys that I point to that really helped me get started doing all of this. So it's kind of funny. But before we get so hobby drunk, I right now I would like Fanatics to get their shit together and let us know what's going on. Panini's at least got some football, basketball releases. To not know when releases are coming is kind of it really does. I don't buy boxes, but I like to know what product I'm looking forward to buying some singles out of. It's very frustrating.
Well, yeah, you don't really even know what they're making and not making.
Right. It's very frustrating as a collector. So
the only thing we know about 2025 product is that Topps Black is back, baby, in Series 2.
There you go. Series 2 Topps Black.
All because of those back pages riling up
getting them fired up. I also want to take a second here. I want to people that watch this later and or that might be just lurking now or whatever. And I love my lurkers.
How many people are lurking right now?
Quite a few. But I want to welcome you to my channel. I've had a nice little uptick in subscribers in the last 2 weeks. For whatever.
The opposite of Wesker Griff. He's been losing subscribers daily with all his outlandish comments.
My microaggressions, I guess.
Yeah. And I just hope y'all realize I'm just a collector that that flip shit. But anyway,
At least he's honest.
I mean, I am doing a lot more selling here now, and it's I have found out it's just as much part of the hobby as any other part. And
especially when you're selling all those 15-cent cards,
putting
the work in.
25-cent king. It's not lurking when I'm grocery shopping. Paul, I know you're not lurking, man. You'll speak up. And I don't mind. I lurk all the time. You put it on, be doing sorting, watching something else. That's fine.
I thought he wasn't commenting because he has to pay a tariff on like every comment.
Paul? I don't know what we're up to now. 50%. I have no idea. But we make Sanderson to Orr pay that one that aired, so pay those. But I just wanted to welcome everybody, take the time to say thank you for watching. And yes, I just been selling a little bit, done pretty well. I like I said Wednesday, I'm trying to be super let people know, collected on on a budget. I took $1,000 of my nationals budget, but I made 500 while I was at the show. So I made 550 on eBay selling just a handful of cards. So,
damn.
Yeah. So I'm doing all right. And, I have a finite amount of cards. I'm not going to keep buying and selling. It's just stuff that sitting in boxes, not doing me any good. Somebody else can put it in their collection. It's okay by me.
I don't know. The stuff that's been selling lately is
it's
definitely collector stuff. Crazy shit.
And I think I've been saying it all year. I wanted the 2025 be the year of the collector. And it's starting to look that way. It is really, really starting to look that way.
Hashtag take back the hobby.
The prices at the Philly show are all over the place. So that kind of tells me that sellers don't know what to do right now. You know what I'm saying? Like when collectors are buying, the prices might come down a little bit because we're gonna wait. We're gonna be in a wait and see mode. And where flippers will buy it because if they can get a little meat on that bone. And that's exact. And I think Philly show was kind of. It's interesting. I don't know what y'all saw at the small show y'all went to yesterday with pricing. I really loved Ed's video. That was a collector's video.
No, that was a freaking scumbag video because Ed got there at 6 a.m., waited in line, he pulled his typical, I'm going to roll in at 10:30 shit. Meanwhile, I didn't know he was camped out there 3 hours early, beats me to it, and then steals all those great Phillies cards that were underpriced.
I was the fifth person in line.
That son of a bitch pissed me off. And then, even worse yet, I offered him, I was like, Ed, I will pay you double for this selection of cards. And he's like, 10 times the hobby, otherwise get out. And then he freaking stormed out. I was like, you son of a bitch. You
I told him, I'm a collector, son.
Part of the deal. Zig when they're zagging.
Stuff was, I would say for the most part, stuff was priced pretty fairly there. It was a lot of the dealers from the old show we used to go to. There were a few newer guys. I saw one guy who had like just outrageous stuff. I was like, I don't know what you were planning. But for example, Ed stole a Zach Wheeler gold refractor from Topps Chrome for $3. And then this one guy, totally different dealer, had a Zach Wheeler 2025 Topps base card priced at $3. I was like, wait, what? That guy ain't gonna sell anything.
Yeah, that's pricing right now. And I think as this year goes on, I think pricing is going to be key. It ain't going to be how much you got in it. It's going to be how much you can get out of it. And 2025 year of the collector hashtag.
Here's the recent sales from my eBay store. Like 1965 Topps base card, George Culver, Tommy Aggie. Someone probably filling a set. Victor Scott II from 2024 archives. James Wood relic from this year. Bob Gibson insert from about 15 years ago. A Jose Altuve base card. A Jonathan Ogden card. Finally, someone in the hobby respecting offensive linemen. It's about
There
time.
you go.
A Jose Guillen base card. How many people on here watching remember Jose Guillen, former Pirate? That's a 1998 base card. A Sil Campusano card. I don't even know if Ed knows who he is. He's a Philly from the early 90s. He sucked. He hit about 185, I'm sure, for his career. A Mike Tomczak base card. Deion Sanders base card. Mike Merriweather, 1991 Pinnacle card.
Hey, Ed, you know what this sounds like to me? Money
What?
laundering.
No, this is like
money laundering.
this is crazy. The stuff. Someone bought a Zach Wheeler refractor from 2014, so I guess that's not his rookie. Rocket Ismail, remember him, Scott?
Yes, I know who Rocket is.
This
Yeah,
is-
real quick.
All collectors here. I
Real
don't think
quick.
anyone's buying a Lars Nootbaar to flip.
I'm currently doing my fantasy baseball draft, and we're in the first round. I have the 10th pick. Who should I take? There's Corbin Carroll, Mookie Betts, Lindor, Tatis, J-Rod, Jordan, Skeens, Scaball. Soto's there too, but I'm not taking him. He's a fucking Met. Fuck him.
Well, you didn't say that about Lindor.
Is Mookie Betts hurt? He's day to day.
Who is?
Mookie Betts is day to day. Why is he day to day?
Yeah, he strained something. I don't think he's starting to. He's sick. He's sick. He's not playing in the Tokyo game.
Man, I wonder if the YouTube league's still alive or if I got kicked out.
Should I take Paul Skeens and Scaball and just like dominate pitching every time?
Yeah, well, I thought that would work last year too until freaking Spencer Strider went out for the year and a couple other
Right.
guys got hurt.
Or should I take big Jordan?
Jordan is a beast, man. Yeah, that's battery. Yeah, that's I forgot. My dad said that today. He's out. He's not playing in Tokyo. I don't even know if he made the flight.
I took Skeens. Now I get the rebound pick.
Mr. Dunn. All right. Well, we're gonna call it a night.
Hold on, I gotta make my pick. Relax, Dirty South.
Oh,
What?
Should I take?
What?
Oh man, Mookie. Why is Mookie Betts day to day? He
I
shows
just told
someone
you.
said he's got the flu.
He's
He's
got
fine.
the flu. I just told you.
He'll probably be available at like multiple positions too. Isn't he
Yes.
playing shortstop this year?
Yeah, he is. He's shortstop eligible. Well, if I take Mookie Betts and he's absolute
He's
dog
going to be
shit,
fine after this week. They got to
Which-
list him day to day because they're playing these 2 days.
which I don't think I don't think he will be, but those back pages is going to have to treat me to big chicken.
What?
I took Mookie Betts.
Yeah, that's the right move.
Oh, they just announced Mookie Betts is retiring. He said he wants to pursue a career in podcasting instead.
I took Paul Skeens and Mookie Betts with the 10th and 11th pick.
There you go.
Matt
we're gonna
Harvey
do-
and Mookie Betts. Congratulations, Ed.
And I want to thank everybody. Have a good weekend. Watch the games. Should be 2 good games Tuesday and Wednesday. Too bad they're so early in the morning. And until next time, see ya.
See ya.